have put up a video called You Are Not Born Gay. So shout out to the people that watched it. It went from like 200 views and like went down. I don't know if it's because people were clicking off the video because they were just that upset. But on YouTube, it got some love. On my Instagram, child, my DM was like, you're homophobic, you're anti-gay, how dare you say something so irresponsible? You're telling me that everybody that's gay is predatory? Oh my God, how dare you? And I'm just like, I did not say that at all. Did you watch the whole video? I took my time to explain many different ways that you can decide, kind of be influenced by that type of lifestyle. And it wasn't just something happened to you. Now, if we're being 100% honest, keeping it real, normally in most cases, that type of lifestyle comes from being sexually abused or, victimized as a child. And I gave a couple of examples, but I also talked about how it can be influenced. Like there was a girl that was constantly coming at me, and beautiful girl. And I'm saying, like, had I, dabbed into my curiosity, I could have went that way. But I'm just saying, you're not born that way. So I had people argue with me saying, you're actually born bisexual. And so we all like everybody. And I'm just like, okay, I didn't argue with you. Like, that's your opinion. Okay, agree to disagree. But my thing is, you could have argued with me back and said, you're not born heterosexual because, when a child is born, they're not really sexually aware. So they're not coming out the womb like, oh, I like him or I like her. I would have took that argument. But my thing is, it had to be influenced by something. I didn't say 100% of the time something had to happen to you. You were sexually abused or whatever. I didn't say 100% of the time. But in a lot of cases, it is. But it's easier to deny that and use the reason, oh, I was born that way, so that you're not confronted with those demons. I'm just saying, I didn't say it was anything wrong with it. I didn't say, how dare you? Shame on you. I even made sure to say I'm not being offensive at all. This doesn't have anything to do with anything other than just be present in your child's life. Make sure you're having open, honest communication. You're talking to them about things. You're just, very active in their life, because not that you're trying to shield them or protect them as you should as a parent, but just more so they're not learning things from other people and outside influences. Like, you're actually able to be with them every step of the way, because what you don't want to happen is you're not present in your child's life. You look up 25 years later, 30 years later, and you're like, well, dang, what happened? Yeah, because you weren't present. So my thing is, like, just be present every step of the way. If they choose that lifestyle and it isn't influenced the way that I said that it has the opportunity to be, then at least you're still having communication. I even also said, hey, if they decide to choose that lifestyle, if you as a heterosexual parent, parenting, situation, have a child that ends up choosing a lifestyle of, being homosexual, do not neglect them. You still have to parent. You still have to be present. You still have to tell them what love is, how to protect themselves during sex. You still have to be with them every step of the way, and not just put your hands up like, I don't know anything about this thing. Like, you kind of on your own. I even made sure to say that. So I think that the title, You're Not Born Gay, bother people so much. But I'm like, how is that so bothersome? How is that offensive? Okay, so this guy that I was friends with in high school was one of the many. When I say many, I'm not talking about like 2 or 3 people. I'm talking about like 10 to 20 people. And they're like, I'm unfollowing you. I'm blocking you. I don't support you. I'm just like, okay, like, that doesn't bother me, because I only want people in my community, people that follow me, people that support me, like, to support me. If you don't support me, we can split ways. Like, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm not here to be liked by the masses. I just feel like I should speak on things that I feel like will be progressive. So I wasn't counterproductive with that video at all. I was actually like just encouraging people to have conversation in the household. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. But anyway, so basically my childhood friend was like, you know, you are anti-gay, you are homophobic, you have a mass following. First of all, I don't even have a lot of followers. 5,000 people is not a lot. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, okay. But no, in the social media world, 5,000 is very normal. There are people with 7,000, 20, 100,000. I have only 400 subscribers on YouTube. I don't have this mass following. But anyway, so he's like, you have a mass following, you know, you're being very irresponsible, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't fault you for having your opinion. I respectfully feel like let's agree to disagree. That is okay. We can have a responsible, respectful conversation without insulting. I didn't call you a name. I didn't disrespect you. I didn't do any of that. But you called me homophobic. You called me anti-gay. And you said that I hate people like that. And that is very ignorant. That is not true at all. I actually love people to the point that I said, hey, make sure you have open and honest communication. You're talking to them. You're being aware of things. And so for you, if you actually chose that lifestyle, aren't I supporting you, telling your parents, hey, don't neglect this person, like actually talk to them so that you can feel more comfortable? I mean, I would be open to another perspective, but I don't understand how you can go against me saying, I really think you should just have convo in the home. But anyway, so basically I said, you know, I took you out to dinner. I took you out to dinner and I paid, and I was listening to you tell me about like your upbringing and what happened, blah, blah, blah. And so for that to happen, I paid money out my pocket. And I went out with you and spent my time. And I was supportive in what you wanted to do. And for you to tell me that I'm homophobic, to be phobic is a phobia, to be afraid. Why didn't I feel like, oh, I can't hang out with him? And you want to know what his response was? Well, it's levels to it. It's a spectrum of homophobia. And you know, you're not like on the extreme spectrum, but you're on there. And honestly, I just feel like, you know, that type of topic in regard to sexuality nowadays is very hypersensitive, and it hinders us from having conversations that need to be had. But I, Diamond B. Frazier, will not back down at all. I should put in like a couple of snippets of the conversation. I don't know, maybe we'll save that for another video. But the purpose of this today is so that friend, you know, that we parted ways and I blocked them. I basically said, you know, what would have been nicer, instead of coming to me and calling me names, knowing that I have a platform or following, we could have had a open discussion that could have taught people a different perspective that you have. I could have, you know, shared my experiences and what I know, and we could have educated people. Because he's like, oh, you know, because we're friends, I didn't want to blast you pretty much. I just wanted to send you a private message online so that I could tell you, you know, what the truth is. And I'm going to send you some articles that you should read. And I'm like, why don't we have an open discussion on camera? You have a podcast, I do YouTube. You know, you can share your perspective. We can have a constructive conversation and educate people. He said, it's not my job to educate people, but here's this article you should read. I said, whoa. Which one is it? Are you like wanting me to learn something? You're sending me things to educate myself because you want to educate me? Or is it not your job to educate people? Well, it's not my job to educate everybody. They have to learn on their own. But I'm going to send this to you so that you can learn. Who are you to tell me that I need to learn about anything? It's a fact. It's a fact. The video, it's a lie on me and say that I said that gay people are predatory. I would not even say that. That is very irresponsible, and I would not say that at all. And that is not true. That is not how I feel. Something happened, you didn't have discussions with other people, and that must have came up, and you projected that onto me. I don't have nothing to do with it. But anyway, I want you to stay tuned to this video if you're still here. This is great. I want to show you a conversation between a feminist and a member of the Lbgt community and a activist that has different ideas and feel like that this might be a little bit harmful to the Black community. But I'm going to let them speak, because what I wanted to do with this other person was have a constructive conversation, but that wasn't able to happen. So I think that we can definitely watch one happen. So check this out.
My name is Diane, resident here in Kansas City, and I am one of those ugly Black feminists that you are not a fan of. So I appreciate you coming here to Kansas City, and I figure if I'm going to have something to say, I'm going to say it to your face, so I do appreciate you addressing my concerns regarding anti-LGBT rhetoric and anti-feminist rhetoric, so I appreciate you saying that up front. So my question is, the exact definition of hate speech is speech that offends, threatens, insults groups based on race, color, religion, natural origin, sexual orientation, disability, or other traits. That is the definition of hate speech. We can say all day long that we don't hate a particular type of person, but I want to know, how is that rhetoric any different than white folks that say that black people are thugs, are mentally not together, that we are unintelligent? How is it possible? How is that not different as a black man saying that black feminists are ugly, saying that queer people are, you said it earlier, I can see you on tape. How is that different than saying that gay people are molested, that we are pedophiles? How is that any different than white people? He has said that online, and I have the video. Yes, you have. No, you did say that online.
I was accused and derided, as some of you guys know, because of my position on sexual confusion in the African American community. And I understand we may have a few visitors tonight, and I don't mind, okay, of that community. And so I think it's important that I clarify my perspective on black homosexuality and lesbianism so that we're all crystal clear on where I stand. Yes, it is true, I do not support it. Yes, it is true, I do not condone it. But it is absolutely false if anyone says that Dr. Umar Johnson hates any of my brothers and sisters who practice a traditional lifestyle, a non-traditional form of marriage.
Right, so my question is, how is this anti-woman, anti-gay rhetoric any different than white folks who say that black people are dumb, that we're thugs? Homophobia is hate speech, and anti-womanness is hate speech.
Okay. May I respond?
You can.
All right. Now, first, we got to take the emotionalism out of it. We won't be able to dialogue. First, you said homophobia.
Yes. Oh, you're going to tell me that it's a mental illness from an outdated DSM-3 that was abolished in 1973? Don't try it.
That's like history.
This is not the
DSM-5?
This is the DSM-5.
Oh.
And I'm going to be respectful to you, okay?
Very.
I didn't pick this up to talk about the fact that homosexuality was a mental illness in this book until 1974. But since you brought it up, I'll start with that. If you read the American Psychiatric Association position paper on the removal of homosexuality from this book as a mental illness, and I have it, it's available online, it clearly says that we did not change this classification because we had sufficient evidence to prove that people were born this way. So one of the questions that got to be dealt with from the Eurocentric mental health framework that we're dealing with this issue in, why was it removed? Now, having said that, I picked up the book to ask you on what page is the mental illness homophobia.
It's not a mental illness. It's a disease just like racism is a disease.
Who defined homophobia as a disease? This is the authority of mental illness. Where is the diagnosis homophobia?
It's not a diagnosis. It's a state of being. It's a state of being.
Phobia.
It's a
A
state
phobia.
of being.
A phobia
Okay.
is in this book.
Okay, so hate speech
And a
against gay
phobia,
people.
let me,
Okay.
phobia is fear. Simple phobia, any type of claustrophobia, it's a fear. You said homophobia. I'm not afraid of nobody. Now, I stand by my position as a psychologist, as an educator, as a therapist for normally 20 years, and in 95% of the cases of gay and lesbians I personally know and met and worked with, most of them were victims of sexual abuse as children. I'm speaking not what some white person wrote in some research study. I'm telling you what I know. Amongst black folk, it is a pathology born of childhood sexual victimization. Denial is at the root of all mental illness. It's easy to say I was born like this so I don't have to deal with the pain that triggered it. I never said that because you are gay, you want to prey on children sexually. Now, do you have a strong case of homosexuals and lesbians who prey on children? Look at the Roman Catholic Church. We don't have to debate whether or not folks who are sexually confused, who may also prefer children. But am I going to wholesale indict the whole population and say because you're gay you want to molest children? I've never said that. I've never said that, and I never will say that. I'm very responsible with my words. Now, you drew a comparison that I wouldn't disagree with. You said, how is me disagreeing with homosexuality, how is that any different from the white man saying black folks was dumb and stupid and this and that? You know what the difference is? No, that was lies about us. That could be proven. You're wrong. I don't denigrate or downgrade black gays and lesbians. Why would I do that? Do you realize black gay men have one of the highest suicide rates in America?
Because of speech like what you
No.
community.
If what you say is
Shame
true.
and silence is
Listen,
why
you're
people
being
don't
emotional,
come
my
out.
queen. It is a political fact for anyone with common sense. It is a political fact for anyone with common sense. Dr. King was assassinated in 1968. Black Panther Party was destabilized in 1972. Homosexuality became normal in 1974. It is a political fact that homosexuality was declassified as an illness so it could be used to take over the black civil rights struggle. Lbgt is what they call the new black. We know it's not black, but they're using it to ignore the black agenda in deference of the Lbgt agenda. It is the only minority issue that matters in this country. Now let me ask you a question, my queen. Since we're talking about freedom of speech and people's rights and looking out for those who are being oppressed and denied their opportunity, where the hell was the Lbgt movement when Michael Brown was murdered? Where the hell is Where was y'all? Y'all don't speak out against what goes on with black folks.
Answer that for you.
No, y'all don't.
I've been to Ferguson. I've started organizations here, and maybe
You're talking about you. I'm talking about that movement.
Guess what? The three women that started Black Lives Matter, both Patrice and Alicia, are queer black women, and they are
You're
making
talking
sure.
about individuals.
I am talking
I'm talking about
three
your population.
women.
Who's my? She was.
Anybody look up her story? Anybody look up? I would say you have a fact. Just prove myself right. Look up the her story of the Black Lives Matter movement, and you will see that the three women that started that are feminists and two are queer, and they are not about the liberation of black people. It's about the liberation of gay people.
Let me go back to my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. Then we're going to move on. Because one thing we got to do, y'all, I talk about this and y'all hear me talk about this. When we talk about the black agenda, we have to stop taking time away from the black agenda to feed other people's agendas. Are y'all When Frederick Douglass was fighting for the right for blacks to get the vote, Susan B. Anthony and other white feminists told Frederick Douglass that you should not let the black man get the vote until the white woman get the vote. And Frederick Douglass said the struggle of a whole race ain't got a damn thing to do with your struggle against your man. No, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. You cannot equate the gay struggle with the black struggle.